Hey there, I'm Plus Frames, and welcome to the 10th episode of a Mortal Kombat Podcast, which is an unofficial podcast for the MK fanatic. First of all, I want to apologize. I know it's been a long time since my last recording, since my last podcast was up. I have been so busy at work lately with my real life, and I've had kind of issues around the house, things that need to get repaired, and all kinds of stuff. The last couple of weeks for me have been pretty hectic. And I just haven't really had the chance to get around to do one, as well as I was kind of honestly struggling with motivation. I had another rant brewing that came up with some stuff that happened over the Jade reveal, and I had this other rant brewing that I wanted to talk about, the negative side of the community. Then I realized I don't want to do that. I don't want every episode to be a rant about some few minor people in the community, because if every episode's about that, then it's going to seem like the majority, and I want the show to be more positive, so I decided not to do that, and then I just kind of ran out of steam of stuff to talk about. But today I've kind of let enough news build up that I have stuff to talk about, as well as a leak just got revealed, and it's like, I honestly, I haven't paid attention to it, so if you're expecting me to talk about it, I won't. I'm purposely ignoring it. Because I don't want the game ruined for myself, and I know people don't mind if, they ruin it for themselves, whatever, they just want any piece of news. I'm not really like that. I know I speculate and stuff a lot, but I actually hate news being confirmed and spoiled unless it's revealed by NRS or whatever when it's intended to come out. So I'm actively ignoring it, and because of that, I also kind of don't want to be on Twitter right now because it just seems like everyone's talking about this. From what I saw, it seems really credible. Like, I really didn't look much. I saw some images and people saying stuff like, wow, look how realistic this looks. And then they would, I could tell there was an image below, and I would just pass through the image and not even look at it. But it seems like it's really credible, and I just don't want to give it any attention. And that's something for you to keep in mind. If you're joining into this podcast and you want to hear me talk about leaks and stuff like that, I'm really not going to do it. And honestly, with that in mind, I'm also probably going to limit the amount of speculation I do in regards to characters and story and stuff like that. By the time this podcast episode is out, there's going to be a million YouTube videos of people talking about the leaks. I understand why it gets a lot of clicks. People do this for their job. They want to get a lot of clicks on YouTube so they get some money back. I totally get it. And there's no fault in anyone for doing that. This is not my job. It's really me just talking about Mortal Kombat because I love it and I'm really hyped for MK11. So I don't financially gain from doing this podcast, and the last thing I want to do is ruin my own hype for the game. So, my podcast may be a little lackluster in news and stuff like that. I'm not going to be talking about these leaks that everyone else will be, and it may be a little bit behind the times or the information that we know. So I'm only going to stick to stuff like officially released by NRS, and that's really about it. Now, another thing I want to give you a quick heads up about. I really don't have any spare time today. I'm surprised I'm even attempting to record this, and because of the leak coming out today and all of the news I want to get this out as soon as possible. So I'm going to limit my audio editing, which honestly takes me usually like 3 to 4 hours every episode, and it's pretty daunting. I'm pretty much recording this and publishing it right away, so I'm sorry if it's not up to the same normal quality. I'm sorry if I ramble a lot, have a lot of ums and ahs. I don't have the time to do a proper podcast episode, otherwise it will be another 2 weeks before I release an episode. But with that in mind, let me know how this episode goes, because if it sounds okay and I can save time doing it, this will probably be how I go about episodes moving forward. It will honestly be easier for me moving forward to do episodes kind of quicker and find the time to do them. So what I'm going to talk about this episode is I'm going to talk about Jade. I'm going to talk about Johnny Cage, who was released in the Kombat Kast. I'm going to talk about changes to amplified moves, the MK11 internet stress test, and a few other things. So first of all, Jade got revealed like 2 weeks ago now, and I know it was a long time ago. I really don't have much to say about her, really. She looks awesome. Right now, she is my favorite character in the game. She's always been one of my favorite characters, but she is the person I'm most interested in playing right now when MK11 drops. I didn't think I'd be saying that, honestly. I would have thought that Sub-Zero, Baraka, or Cabal would have just kind of edged her out. But she looks awesome in this game, and she seems to play like how I want to play. So I'm really excited to play her. She looks awesome. I mean, all of the characters look awesome. NRS is doing a fantastic job with their character designs in this game. I'm so excited about these characters and how well they're designed, and even the characters that were released a while ago, like even Sub-Zero, who's one of my favorites, seems a little lackluster now, but it's not. I'm not saying the quality of him is any less, but I'm just, how they're pumping out these reveals, and every character just looks awesome. Like, I want to play everyone, and that doesn't happen with so many games, so I'm really proud of what NRS is doing, and I'm really just looking forward to it. So yesterday, also in the Kombat Kast, Johnny Cage was revealed. And I'm going to say this, I've never been a Johnny Cage fan. I'm sorry, I liked him a lot in the MK1 movie back in 95 or whatever it was. I liked his character in that. He was funny, he was, smart, he was a bit of a jackass. I really liked his character in that. But I never really liked playing him in the games. I didn't really like him too much in MK1 or MK2. And then the movie came out around that time, and I was like, oh, this guy's personality is awesome. But it never really seemed to translate to the games to me. I never really felt his personality in the games. I thought MK9, they were very close. They did a very good job with his character. But there was something about the delivery of his jokes or something. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but he didn't have the same charm, is maybe how I should put it, that I felt like he had in the movie. And then MKX came out, and honestly, he reminded me more of like a father than a smart aleck kind of actor. How he looks in MK11 reminds me so much of the MK movie, and he looks awesome. This is honestly the first time I've ever been excited to play Johnny Cage. He's not the first person I'm going to play. I'm not saying I'm maining him for sure, but he's definitely a character I want to try, and I want to do his fatalities and see his interactions with other characters, and maybe, with the custom variation system, I can find some way of playing him that I'm going to like. I just think he looks awesome. That fatality where he tries to uppercut the head 3 times, which is, a nod to his glitch fatality from the early games. That's just really smart. It's really cool. Johnny Cage looks awesome. So, also in that Kombat Kast yesterday, we learned a couple other things. First of all, there's the changes to the amplified moves. So if you don't remember, you probably do, but instead of the meter burn or the EX moves where you do like back forward 1 and then press block at the same time, you would do an EX move. What they did was they would do something like back forward 1, and then there'd be a little bit of a delay, and then you'd have to press like forward down 2 or something like that. There was another button combination specific to that move that you use to kind of amplify it and do the next phase of the move or extend the move, what have you. What they're doing now is there's going to be a universal button, and I don't know if it's block. I don't remember what it is. There's going to be a universal button that you're going to press after the special move is done, but the timing will still be specific to each move. I think that's a good idea. Honestly, at first, I mentioned it in one of my earlier episodes, I really liked the idea of this custom input or specific input for each move, because it made it not as easy to learn every character in the game. You had to kind of put more time into them, and I thought that was really good. I thought it would make the tournament scene actually better because there would be more character specialists, and it gives more longevity to the game, in my opinion. However, during one of the combat streams, and I can't remember if it was when Jade was revealed or when Cabal was revealed, I think it was Cabal. I think 16-bit was trying to show some sort of amplified move with Cabal. And I remember, and he's like, he's a good player. He's a high level player, good execution, all that stuff. And I remember him trying to do the move, and I remember he kept dropping it. Like he was trying to do it consistently, and he only did it like on the third or fourth time or something like that. And I remember him trying to do it again, and no offense to him or anything. I mean, he's a great player, and I'm a big fan of his. But when I saw that, and he has experience with the game, I was like, okay, these are not maybe as easy as they should be. Like they seem like they're maybe a little bit tricky to do consistently. Add that with online play, it may get real wonky and really unreliable, and that I don't think is a good thing. So I'm kind of actually glad that they changed it to the one universal button. You just kind of need to know the timing of when you press it. I also did speculate, not necessarily thinking that it would be true, but just pondering, if it could be, that they could do it where if you did another specific input, you would do a different move. So you could kind of do like mix-ups in a way, depending on what the two different follow-ups were. It seems like that's completely out of the window now. That's probably not going to happen unless, they do a universal button, a second universal button for everyone. But they also don't seem to be opposed to giving a character specific tools that another character may not. So who knows? There may be one or two characters that have one certain special move that if you press a different combination afterwards, you can do something with. We'll have to see, but it seems like that's likely not going to happen. But honestly, I'm okay with it. I think it's probably a lot more reliable to have the one universal button, just specific timings, so, you still have to learn something. It's just not a generic press it every time you press the attack button when you're doing your special. And then they also revealed, and this was, I'm gonna admit, I was a little disappointed. Ed Boon was leading up to this, like, we're revealing a character, the character that we're talking about on IGN, who turned out to be Johnny Cage, but we also have some huge news, and I was expecting to see, like, the crypt mode or something massive. And I don't really feel like we got that. So I was a little disappointed, but maybe I'm disappointed for a reason. So they're doing an internet stress test on March 15th to March 17th. It's open to U.S. people only, U.S. residents only, and that's maybe why I'm disappointed, because I live in Canada. I'm not able to do this, and I would obviously love to do that. So maybe if I was in the U.S., I would treat it a little bit differently. I'd be more excited, but it is what it is. I'm also, and one thing I'm not sure about is, I'm not sure if you actually have to buy the game to get access to this. As weird as it sounds, I don't remember anyone mentioning anything about the requirement of pre-ordering the game to get this. I know you need to pre-order to get the beta access, a week or I guess 2 weeks later or what have you. But I don't know if for this internet stress test if you need to pre-purchase the game. But one thing that seems to be the case is that just because you sign up for it, it doesn't seem like you're guaranteed a spot. It seems like you sign up for it, and then they kind of choose or randomly select, people to be part of it. There are concerns in the community that high-level players or players that have YouTube and stuff like that will have access so that they can kind of promote the game, whereas, Joe Blow that has 3 followers, will likely not get access. We'll see. I mean, it's going to be one of those cases where if Dynasty gets a copy, but Joe Blow doesn't, it's going to seem iffy because Dynasty has that following and can show it off. But anyways, it is what it is. I don't necessarily think that there's going to be too much going on. And even if there is, I can't fault NRS. They want people interested in the game. They want people promoting it. It's basically free promotion. So why wouldn't you give it to people that can test it and kind of show it online and get people hyped for it? As long as that's not the only people they give it to, I'm totally fine with it. And they're not. This is going to be an internet stress test. They're going to test the system. they're probably going to want a few hundred people involved with this thing over these couple of days. So I don't think it's just going to be, big YouTube content creators and stuff like that in the States. Now, also, I want to give a shout out to Iron Armor. So Iron Armor is a fan of mine. He started listening to the podcast. He's been chatting with me. He's been giving me some speculation ideas that are really cool. He actually gave me the link for this beta. So if you're in the US and you want to log in and try your chance to play the beta from March 15th to March 17th, please do that. Go to mortalkombat.com/beta and sign yourself up. So thank you, Iron Armor, for that. Also, Iron Armor gave me a theory for something that he saw. Sorry, I'm assuming that you're a he. I'm guessing in one of the combat streams, they saw a name in one of the characters' custom variations that seemed to maybe leak something that happens in the story or something like that. Honestly, I know Iron Armor, I was going to shout you out and talk about this, but in lieu of these leaks and speculations and stuff, I kind of don't want to share this on the podcast. I just don't really want to speculate too much about stories. I don't want to spoil stuff, and I know it's all speculation, and I love speculation because it's not confirmation. But I don't know. Just today, with all this leak that's coming out, I'm maybe not as interested in sharing it. Don't take it personally. Honestly, I have a theory about Shang Tsung's island and why so many people are dead on it, like Goro and all of the monks and stuff, that I actually think is pretty plausible, but I don't want to speculate on that one either because, it's the same reason. I just don't. I want people to buy the game and play the story while they're watching the TV screen and go through it themselves. That's what it is. And I think my theory is plausible. And I don't want to, maybe if turns out to be true, I don't want to soften the blow of how cool that could be when you see it playing the game. And the exact same thing is true with your theory. Now, to all of you other users out there, I definitely liked Iron Armor's tweet, and I retweeted it and commented on it. So if you follow me on Twitter, you can probably find out what it is. Also, follow Iron Armor. I think the tag is actually Armor Iron, but the name is Iron Armor. Follow them, and you'll be kind of apprised to kind of their speculation as well as my speculation. If you go back to my tweets, it was the night of the Jade reveal when we saw Goro in Goro's lair and what looked like Moloch, but we've been hearing that it could just be a random Oni or whatever the kind of character is called. I don't quite remember. As soon as I saw, like, the monks I didn't really care about, but when I saw Goro, I was like, okay, there's more to it than these monks didn't just sit there patiently and died over hundreds of years. There's something going on. And anyways, if you follow me on Twitter, you can dig through my things and look that up. I'm not going to delete it or anything like that. I don't really feel like talking about it anymore. If you're craving for the news, go ahead and find it, but I'm not just going to give it to you so easily like that. But I do want to thank you, Iron Armor, for everything, not just sharing your speculation with me and sharing the link with me, and I could pass it on to others, but I also appreciate you following me and showing your love and feedback to me on Twitter and all of your support, and really everyone's support I've gotten. It's been really good. And with that, I also want to give a shout out to Goodfella PJM for their love and feedback. Goodfella reached out to me a few days ago, or maybe a week ago now, and he was catching up with my podcast. He discovered it himself, and he really liked it and reached out to me on Twitter and gave me some love. So I really want to thank you for that. Goodfella also asked if I could do kind of a lore and character bio sort of episodes or get into that stuff. And at the time, I was thinking about, maybe what I would do is today would be like a lore special about MK1, and I would talk about the story that we knew of MK1 when the game happened, and maybe a quick bio on the 7 characters. MK2, I would just talk about MK2 and maybe the events from MK1 that led into it. And then, once I got to MK4 and the mention of like Sub-Zero mythologies and stuff like that, I would kind of relate that then down back to what happened in MK1 or before MK1 and all of that stuff. Honestly, I've learned through these 10 episodes that I really like doing the show off the cuff. My first couple episodes, I basically wrote a script and I read it. And basically, the more I do the show, the least I rely on the script, because I feel like it's a lot more emotional, and I tend to like it more. When I listen back to it myself, I hear things that I thought of at the time that I think are smart, or comments that I said that I thought were funny, what have you. I think it's more spontaneous, and I think it's actually easier to listen to. It's not me just being robotic and reading a script and stuff. So, and I feel like if I was going to do a lore episode like this, and talk about everything, I'd pretty much have to read a script. I wouldn't want to miss any details. I wouldn't want to ramble on about something that was insignificant in the big picture, stuff like that. So I don't know if I'm necessarily going to do that. Good fella PGAM, I recommend following History Behind the Warrior, or HBTW, on Twitter. Follow their YouTube. They always do like character bio episodes. They did one on Sub-Zero that was like half an hour long a couple of weeks ago, and it was fantastic. Follow them if you want that. I just don't think I'm necessarily the best one suited for this, and I don't know if I'd be too happy with the results, so I don't really want to pursue it. What I may do, and I've been debating this, is instead of going through all of the games and talking about everything and characters that and lore that is maybe, not all that important in the big picture or relatable to MK11, because honestly, I'm just so hyped for MK11. What I may do is I may just do a little bit of a lore background summary for the characters that are in MK11 so far, or have been revealed so far. This is just a thought. I just really thought of this today. I don't know how I'm going to necessarily do it. I may try to catch up in future episodes, and then as a character gets revealed, maybe, dig up more info on them. I'm not even sure if I'm going to do this, to be honest. I like the idea a lot. I just, being a podcast, I don't know. Maybe I'm being too critical of myself, but I feel like someone just talking without any visual cues can be really boring. I'm not reading a crazy story or anything like that. And, I'm expressing my opinions and stuff, and that's interesting. But I think if I was just talking about, this is who Jade is, and as far as we know, where she came from, but, make like a 20-minute discussion on it or something. I mean, that's probably exaggerating, but I feel like I'd either talk too much or not enough. Again, that's kind of where the scripted thing comes in, and I don't want to do that. I honestly think it would be better if there's History Behind the Warrior. I'm rambling now. History Behind the Warrior is a great source. It's a YouTube video. You can see the character through the different games. He goes back and does a crap load of research and details everything. Follow them and watch the videos. I promise you, I think you would get more from it than me doing it on my podcast anyway. And I think it'll be more enjoyable. So I just think that that's a better medium for it, and other people I think are maybe better equipped for it than I am. So I'm not necessarily saying I'm not doing it. I need to find the right, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it the right way, the way I want to, the way that excites me to do it, and that I think is going to excite you. And I don't really want to do that until I know exactly how that's going to turn out. That's really about it for this episode. The only other thing I want to mention, so Tyler Lansdowne mentioned during the last Kombat Kast episode that in the next week's Kombat Kast, which is looking like it will be Wednesday, but it wasn't confirmed, they're going to show Kano's gameplay So I'm really excited for that. Kano looks cool. I've been really surprised with everyone I've seen so far. Everyone so far looks awesome, so I can't imagine Kano's going to look anything but absolutely superb. He's also kind of a character that I've never been a huge fan of. I liked him in MKX, but that was really about it. I've liked him as a character. I just didn't really like his play style. But this game, MK11 is doing such a good job of showing people's personalities through their play style that if I like their personality, it's actually going to want to make me play as them so I could, see it within my moves and stuff. So that's really cool. And I think that's an element that's making me like some of these characters that I don't typically like Johnny Cage. So if Kano's done right, I think Kano's going to be awesome, and he's definitely going to be a character I want to play as well. So I'm excited to see that. But other than that, that's really it for this episode. Feel free to subscribe to me on YouTube and comment on YouTube if you have any comments or feedback or any questions, what have you. Also, most of you seem to be listening to the audio and not going to YouTube, and that's perfectly fine. That was kind of my intention. It wasn't even my intention to publish a YouTube page. I definitely get probably I get 5% of my views on YouTube or something like that. I get a lot more listens, which is, again, what I expected. So don't feel like you have to go to YouTube, which is plus space frames. You can also just hit me up on Twitter, +frames_, all one word. Let me know what you think about the show, if you liked it, if you hate it, what I can do to improve, and I'll keep doing my best to make the show better for you. So that's really it. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.